Welcome home, where we provide information, inspiration, and motivator after motivator after motivator. Here on America's Next, I have Dr. Peace here with me today. How you doing, Dr. Peace?
I am doing amazing. Thank you so much, Cedric, for having me on your show.
Absolutely. Now, when some people see Dr. Peace, they'll wonder, is that your real name? And your parents must have been some great people to name you Peace.
That's actually a great question. I get it all the time. And
Yeah.
actually, my name really is Peace. It's my middle name, actually.
Wow.
And there's a story to actually my name. Would you like me to share it?
Absolutely.
So it's my middle name that's Peace, and that's because I am of Nigerian heritage. And so, being of Nigerian descent, if you have any Nigerian friends, their first name is typically something along the lines of like a Nigerian name, something that you probably can't pronounce.
Okay.
And then the middle name tends to be something along the lines of the fruits of the spirit. So grace, faith, hope, joy. So my mom's name is Joy, and when she had me, she was going through some a tough time in her life, and she really wanted peace. So she named me Peace, and so that's how my name became Peace.
Was Joy your mother's first name or her middle name?
Middle name.
So her parents wanted joy,
Yes.
and your
Yes.
parents wanted peace.
Yes.
Can you talk about the power of nomenclature, the power of designing a name for your child? Talk about the power of that.
So I personally don't have children, but I've thought about my future children. So I've actually already started deciding on what names I want, and there is so much power in that name because you're going to be the one saying it. You're the one who's initially, right? You're the one who's going to be saying that name every time you think of your child. That's the name that comes up, and there's so much power in that name because especially if it's something like peace or joy, when you say it, those words kind of take over. You start thinking about those words and you start kind of embodying that particular word. So for growing up, my name being peace, it's hard to come at someone with anger or in a warful tone or it's as soon as I say my name, it kind of calms the situation down.
Right.
It's my name is peace, so that's what I'm going to exude.
Hmm.
And so for like a name being joy, my mom, she exudes joy. It's so you kind of tend to embody that name. And so my future child, for those listening, don't take my future child's name.
Got it.
I'm just kidding. You could take it if you want, but it's actually behind me. I don't know if you can see the words here. It's in
Oh,
graffiti.
unity?
Unity. Yeah.
Nice.
So that word really resonates with me because it shows union. It shows working together for a common cause. It shows building people up versus tearing others down. And so I enjoy saying that name, and I that's why I want to name my kid that name, my future daughter, because it's something that she will embody as well growing up.
I think that's so powerful. And it's a great reminder that when we name our children, that it doesn't have to be a random process. It doesn't have to be something that you just come across on the side of a bus or, just something that you come across in a random way. It can be something that you are very intentional about, keeping in mind that this person is going to actualize the frequency of their name.
Whew.
And
Yeah.
it gives you that much power over the future when you design a name that is going to actualize into something that we need. So when you are a parent, or even if you're an adoptive parent or someone who is going to go through the naming process with someone else, you are impacting the future. You are impacting an expression that's going to happen in the future. And that's a superpower. So I think that's awesome. But there's a second part to it. All the folks out here in the world who want to express a greater purpose from themselves, and they look for it, and sometimes it can be hard to find.
Mm-hmm.
Be reminded that there's power in your name. Go out there and discover what your name means. That's huge.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So
Absolutely
true.
huge.
So true.
So, what was your childhood like?
Okay, that's a really interesting question. So I grew up in a single parent household. Um,
Okay.
so I'm going to actually start a little bit before my birth. So my mother and father are both, they originated in Nigeria. They came here in their 20s. They actually met here in the United States in their 20s. They
Okay.
got married. They had me and two of my sisters. I'm the middle of two daughters. And so soon after the marriage and all the kids, it didn't go well. So my mom actually became a nurse, and she ended up raising me and my siblings single handedly.
Okay.
And so she worked so much. She did a lot of overtime, a lot of overnight shifts. So it's called graveyard shift in the nursing universe, in the nursing world. And so she's put a lot of her time and effort into making sure there was a roof over our head and food in our bellies, and it was amazing. I mean, looking back, I appreciate it even more now, and I wish that I would have had more time with her, been able to do more things with her growing up, but what she did, sacrificing that time with us to, go to work and make the money so that she could, you know, raise us and, keep the food in our bellies and roof over our head. Like it's amazing. And so growing up, I was just, I guess I was like a regular kid. I didn't do a lot of sports. I didn't start sports till high school,
Okay.
actually eighth grade, and I found that I was innately good at it.
Good at what? What were
Yeah,
you
good
innately
at
good at?
sports. And so I started off with volleyball and played basketball, played a little bit of softball. And so that's when I realized that I had some talent. I didn't quite realize I had any talents at all, really, up until that point. And so I started playing basketball, started playing sports, and it showed it showed me that I was capable of something,
Right.
which was huge. Um, let's see. I do remember when I was 12, I wrote a book,
Really?
and
What should
yeah,
I remind you about?
I wrote a book, and it's called The Midnight Show.
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, so I wrote this book as a school
Reminder
project.
saved. And it's called The Midnight Show, yeah. So at 12.
Oh, my phone is talking to me.
Alexa is prepared for whatever comes next. You
What's
know,
good? Alexa.
shout
Okay.
out to Alexa. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, we are talking to Dr. Peace Uche today, and she has a unique story. It's unique for a variety of reasons that we'll talk about today. She's getting her Zen on, as Big Sean would say, and we appreciate that. Alexa was just joining the conversation. She sent Alexa back out of the room, and so we're not now we're back here. But I want to thank everybody for tuning in today, tuning in so far. For the people who are here now and the people who are going to be here in the future, just big shout outs to you and much respect. Okay, so you realize that your mother is working hard and she's working hard for a reason.
Mm-hmm.
It's not in vain. You have a destiny that you need to go out there and fulfill, and it seems like it started to manifest a little bit through sports. So
Yes.
what sports did you choose? And then once you started writing, I want you to unpack that story and give it to us.
Okay, so I chose, I didn't really choose. It kind of came my way. It was
Okay.
more like people saw that I was tall and that I was fairly fit, and they were like, you should try volleyball or you should
Mhm.
try basketball. And honestly, I really sucked at both of them because I've never really played either of them growing up.
Right.
But someone saw something in me, and
Mhm.
then they put the time and energy to teach me how. So I remember one of my coaches, his name's Coach Todd Ewing. He comes across as like literally my guardian angel in terms of like in every way, really, because he saw my potential and he put so much time and energy into nurturing that, to teaching me how to play basketball and teaching me how to do all the moves and how to really, dribble and all that stuff. And so it was really nice having that guidance.
Hmm.
I never really had that a lot growing up. And
Right.
so for someone to see that potential in me and then put all that time and energy into bringing it out, it really meant a lot to me. So
Can
shout
you
out to
talk about
Coach Todd.
how can you talk about how it pretty much catapulted your potential to be under someone's coaching, you know? And you would think that a sport is just a sport, but in fact, you learn so much when
Mm.
you get introduced to sports, and it does so much for your maturity and just self control, self discipline.
Oh
Talk
yeah.
about talk about some of those ways that that sport, being new to you, added value in your life.
Oh, so much value. So yeah, you learn so many things. You learn how to time management, how to not get down on yourself when something doesn't go the way you wanted it to go. So like if a certain game or certain play didn't go the way you wanted it to go, you learn how to kind of work your way through that and then say, next time I work on it, next time it's going to be okay, or next time I'll do better. And so it
Right.
really kind of taught me that. I did a lot of multitasking actually through high school. I actually ended up being the valedictorian of my school.
Nice.
So in addition to getting a full ride for sports, for playing basketball, volleyball, and softball. So even though I started late, I was somehow able to master uh, at least volleyball and basketball. Softball, not so much. But but so sports just taught me so much, and I'm so forever grateful to it. So my junior year of high school, I remember taking adult school actually that year. So I would go to regular high school during the day. I'd play either a game, a basketball, volleyball, or softball game, because I played all of three. So I was always in a sport every season.
Hmm.
So I would go to either a game or a practice for whatever sport of that season. And then I would get dropped off to adult school. So an adult night school. So
Okay.
I was really, really busy. I mean, over 12 hours out of the house.
Hmm.
And what I was studying was medical terminology. So I
Really?
already knew that I was going to do something in the medical field. My mom had always kind of instilled in us that we needed to always get it going and that we should always think of something to do in the medical field, because that's a secure job, right? So
Hmm.
it's something that you can always rely on. And to her, she found that, nursing was something that she could always rely on. So she taught us to kind of migrate towards that medical field. So I was studying medical terminology. I was getting it going. And it ended up being a prereq to pharmacy tech. So I ended up becoming a pharmacy technician, which led to me becoming a doctor of pharmacy. So I mean that's a whole nother story, but I really strongly believe that being involved in sports kind of gave me that determination, that motivation, that ability to time management and really push myself to the limit.
Right. So let me get this straight. You were in high school doing a sport which was also new to you, which you were excelling at. But then after school, after practice,
Hmm.
you were going to take college classes basically.
Yeah. Yeah, I was the
That's hard
youngest in
work.
that class. I was 17. I was the youngest, filled in a room. I was in a room filled with adults who were studying to, for their next career. They were
Mhm.
studying to do their next career, and here I was studying to do my first career.
Did your school suggest that to you, or was it just your mom?
It was my mom. I don't believe there
Wow.
was any other people in my school doing what I was doing.
Mhm.
It was my mom's encouragement to get it going, and that's always been a family mantra of mine. It was told to my mom by her mom. So my grandmother told my mom to get it going. She'd always tell my mom, get it going, and that gave my mom the strength and the courage and the push that she needed to get it going and to move to America, to raise a family, to get a good paying job, all that. It gave her that strength, and so she told us from a little kid growing up, I always remember her saying, "Get it going." Like when we would come home with like a straight A's on our test or a quiz or whatnot, she would celebrate for a second, and then she'd say, "Wadoanya, Wadoanya," which means get it going, keep going. Yeah, that's good, great job, but keep going.
Right.
This isn't the end.
And you're talking about the words of your great grandmother.
Mm-hmm.
I consider that a matrilineal message. This is a message that's being passed down from one mother to the next, to the next, to the next. And while you grew up without your father in your life every day, you had a powerful, powerful message through your matrilineal line.
Mm.
And
Yeah.
it makes me think about, are we paying attention to the message that's being handed down through our matrilineal lines in our families? You know, what
Yeah.
did your what did your great grandmother say about life?
Mm.
And I want everybody to take a second and think about that. What did your great grandmother say about life? Her great grandmother said, "Get it going,
Get
keep
it
it going."
going. Yeah.
Her
And
mother said, "Okay, okay, I hear you, mom. I hear you, mom. I'm going to name my daughter Peace."
mm-hmm.
And now here you are getting ready to name your daughter Unity. And so I think that that's a great thing for us to do in life. Number one, realize the power in your name. Number two, look for the matrilineal message that might be right before you and prioritize it. What
Yeah.
did your grandmother say about life? Prioritize it. And
Mm.
then obviously, what did your mother say about life? Now, if you take those three and then put your comment on life together, you got four comments. And there's a really, really powerful world famous book out called The Four Agreements.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's a
In
good
my
one.
perspective, those would be similar to the Four Agreements.
Whew.
What your great grandmother said about life, what your grandmother said about life, what your mother said about life, and what you say about life. Those
Yes.
are four key agreements that we need to
Mm.
be in tune with, right?
Mm. Yeah.
And
So
that
true.
that's in addition to the possibility of a patrilineal message, what your great grandfather said. If you have the luxury of both, that's awesome. But always look for messages in your people. What people are trying to, get out to you. Now, did your great grandmother have a college degree?
I don't believe so. So
Mm-hmm.
the I'm the first generation
Mm-hmm.
Nigerian American. So all my family born and raised in Nigeria. My great grandmother was actually the wife of the chief of my tribe.
Wow.
So I mean, my great grandfather was the chief of our tribe in Orifte down in Anambra State,
Mm-hmm.
and so my last name, not the one, not Doctor, not Pisuche, but my mom's maiden name Wigwe, it has so much power, and it's because my great grandfather was the chief of our tribe. So I have, I guess, it's in my lineage. This leadership is in my lineage, and so the idea of getting it going came from my great grandmother, and it's because she 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 had to get it going.
Right.
My mother would tell stories actually of her mother, how her mom ended up being the village mother. So her
Wow.
mom would take care of all the kids in the village. All the kids in the village knew her, and she ended up raising a lot of the kids in the village, and everyone considered her the village mother. She had so much wisdom, she had so much love to give. And so, I mean, that was her getting it going, helping
Right.
others to get it going.
That's
And
right.
so she told my mom, get it going. And my mom told me to get it going. And here I am now, really trying to get it going to motivate others to get it going in their lives, to pursue their passions, to align with their dreams and start following it, to get it going because it's time. It's
Right.
time.
Right. I think that's absolutely great. Now, the reason why I asked if your great grandmother had a degree was because I wanted to draw out the fact that she was handing down wisdom
Mm,
naturally.
yes.
And so we have to be on the lookout for that. What wisdom is being handed down around us naturally that we can take and bring online for the greater community.
Mm.
Now here you on giving us a commentary that's very powerful. Get it going. You
Get it
know,
going.
somebody out there is looking to get it going today. It's Monday. What do you need to do? You need to get it going. Somebody's looking to start a new business. Somebody's looking to take another step for their endeavors. Get it going.
Get it going.
So I think that that's great. I think that that's really cool, manifesting the wisdom that's been handed down from years ago. Now, are you able to talk to me about what does it take to become the leader of a tribe? How does one become a chief or a mother of a tribe? How does that work back in Africa?
So that's actually a good question. I'm actually going to have to pose that to my mom because that's
Okay.
something that I never actually delved deep into. I would imagine, though, that it would mean that person would have to have a lot of reverence. A lot of people must have a respect for that individual. And so, I mean, what I do know about my grandfather was that he was a fisherman.
Okay.
And so he would help feed the village with the fish that he caught. So I don't know much about my great grandfather, who was the chief of my tribe, but what I know about my grandfather and his ability to go out into what my mom called the deep water and collect all the fish and bring it home and feed the family and the village. And then my grandmother would help raise the village children. I mean, it's just astounding that their love, and not just for their family, but for everyone around them. And so I would imagine that that same love and that same respect and that same drive was in my great grandfather, and which was what compelled him and what gave him the energy and the courage to lead a whole village, and become the chief of the tribe.
So your feeling of all this heritage and all of this wisdom invested in you kind of gave you drive here in America
Mm.
to be great.
Oh, for sure. Definitely. My mom would always remind me of just the feats that my mom that she would have to go through in Nigeria, walking to school, collecting the water, collecting food for hours in the forest, and bringing it back to the village. All the struggles that she had to go through growing up, it didn't, when she would tell these stories, it didn't, for her, it wasn't a struggle. I really want to I really want to hone in on that it wasn't a struggle. For us it's like, wow, that seems like such a hard task. What a hard knock life. But when
But
she tells it, it's
yeah,
like we got to go in the forest and we got to collect the
mhm,
yams and the cassava, and then make the yams and cassava, and then the fish, and and it was such a wonderful day. It
right.
was such a wonderful day knowing that the cassava was there, the yams were there, the fish was there, and that she was able to collect it all, prepare it, and feed the family.
Absolutely. It's character building,
Exactly. And
and
so,
it's seen as character building.
exactly.
Mhm.
So it was that same mother who raised me and did a bunch of character building with me growing up, because I mean, like I said, it wasn't like a huge hurrah when I would get an A+ on a test. It was more like, that's good, expected. Now keep doing it. Get it going. This is
Right,
just the beginning.
right. You know, it reminds me that there's two different types of work. There's work that you do in society, but there's also work that you do culturally. And when I say culturally, it means work that you do on yourself, work that you do with the people that you live with, work that you do in your community.
Mm-hmm.
And that work results in a lot of benefits. It results in character building for you to go out there and do a good job in the larger workforce. Would you agree to that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. Because what you learn growing up as a kid, those character building activities that you've done, they really help build you up as an adult. And so I can really attest to that. I mean, I've had a lot of interesting times and a lot of different character building moments, and like it's helped me to become who I am now. And I'm
For
so
sure.
I'm so grateful for that.
For sure. All right. Can you talk about some of the challenges that you faced as you graduated high school? What would you say were a couple of challenges that you overcame?
Well, So when I graduated high school, I had in mind that I was going to go to a 4 year college. I applied to UCSD and to University of California, Santa Barbara. So University of California, San Diego, University of California, Santa Barbara. Being a 4.1 student valedictorian of my school, I got into both of them. And so I chose UCSD and I was all set to go. But my mom, actually, she was having a tough time letting me go. And so she decided that I was going to stay at home and I was going to go to a community college, which is fine, but it just didn't sit well with me. It didn't sit well with me. And so that was a challenge, kind of getting out of that situation and convincing her that I needed to go to a 4 year college. I needed to expand my view of life. I needed to learn. I needed to get out from underneath her wings and like the comfort zone. I needed to expand and explore the unknown. And so I was finally able to convince her. And I ended up going to UCSD. And each day was, let me say, an exploration.
Wow.
Each day was an adventure. Because I went to a small school, and going to a small school and then going from a small academy to a large school of hundreds of people in my class, it was such a big shock that first of all these people existed.
Right.
And then second of all, they seemed like they had it all together, that they knew what they were doing, and I felt I was behind. I felt that I didn't belong there. And I remember calling my mom up and saying, these kids are too smart. I don't think I can do this. Because I wasn't getting my straight A's that I was used to. I had a couple C's. I was like, it was unacceptable to me. And I remember having this conversation with my mom, and she told me, like, you're smart too. You got to this position. You belong there as much as everyone else. Get it going. Waddle on ya. Get it going. And so I remember from that day on, I was like, you know what? You're right. I belong here. I just need to learn how to navigate this new path. I need to learn how to study and how to connect with other people and to form study groups. And I just need to learn how to speak this language. And so I did. And from then on out, I only had 1 quarter where I had C's and B's. The rest of my 4 years was all A's because I figured it out.
Wow.
And then I went to pharmacy school and I got into UCSD School of Pharmacy. Same thing happened. When the first week of pharmacy school, I called my mom up and I was like, I don't belong here. These kids are way too smart. Right. And I honestly felt that way. These kids were so smart. You tell them one thing and then they just expanded it and they knew everything. And I just didn't feel like I belonged there. And then my mom had to tell me the same thing. She told me the same exact thing.
Right.
She reminded me of what I was capable of.
Right.
And then from then on out, straight A's. Yeah.
I think a lot of people can relate to that, what you just told us just now. The culture shock of going away to a 4-year school. And I think the first part of that story was really helpful as well. You knew that there was something else out there in the world that you needed to access other than going to a local school and staying with your mom. You somehow knew that there was a greater challenge out there for you to face if you were ever going to become the best person that you could possibly be. And so you didn't stay at home. You decided to leave the nest. And I think that that's huge. That's the first part. Lo and behold, when you got there, you realized a more realistic scope of the world that we live in today, which is that people are really intelligent. Yeah. People are really gifted. People come in all different shapes and sizes and levels of amazingness. And it's something for all of us to figure out at one point in our lives or another. Whether you go to school or not, just realize Life in the world is more than your environment. I like the way that you obtained that message in your life.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Yeah,
ladies and
life
gentlemen,
in the world.
absolutely. We are talking to Dr. Peace. She became Dr. Peace through a lot of hard work. If you've been with us, you know some of her story, but there's more, and we'll be right back after this brief message. America's Next Motivator. Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 5 p.m. Eastern. Tuesday and Thursday at 10 a.m. Eastern. America's Next Motivator, hosted by me, Cedric Riley, and sponsored by the Pride Empowerment Network. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back with Dr. Peace. She's talking to us about how she had the culture shock of how cool college was, how big the world is that she discovered, but then she excelled in it. So now what happened next after you realized that you can make it through graduate school?
Oh gosh, what happened next? I made it through grad school, UCSD, and
What's UCSD? What's that stand for?
University of California, San Diego. So I went to
Nice.
University of California, San Diego for undergrad, graduated cum laude, then went to University of California, San Diego pharmacy school for 4 years, and then I decided that I was going to do a residency. So I did my residency in ambulatory care at the UCSD facility. So technically, I was at UCSD for 9 years. So
Okay.
all of my upper education, higher education, was done at UCSD.
Mhm.
And after working in pharmacy for about 5, 6 years, I discovered another passion of mine. So the reason why I went into pharmacy school in the first place, we didn't mention this earlier, so I want to touch on it now, was that I wanted to help people help themselves. I wanted
Wow.
to help people help themselves. I wanted to provide the medication education that they needed in order to understand the meds that they were taking, to understand what they were for, how to take it, and what to expect. And what the reason why this was so important to me at the time was that I had an uncle, actually two uncles, who passed away from diabetes.
Okay.
And they both lived in Nigeria, but they had the insulin, they had what they needed, they just didn't know how to take it. They didn't have anyone there to show them how.
Okay.
And so this is what really inspired me to really be able to understand this different universe. The whole idea of medications and drugs was so new to me and so foreign that I wanted to be able to understand it and break it down to help other people understand it as well, so that they
Okay.
could take control of their own life and to help themselves. So I became a pharmacist to be able to do that, to decipher this code and to really start to help people understand how they can help themselves. So after working in a pharmacy for about 5 years, I did a lot of behind the scenes insurance work for Fortune 500 companies. I had a great run as a pharmacist. I enjoyed what I was doing. I still enjoy it now. I'm still a certified pharmacist or licensed pharmacist. But I found that I had more to offer. I wasn't fully using all of my innate gifts and talents. And so it happened about a few years ago that I started. First of all, I found this book. I went home to my mom's house and I found this book. I mentioned earlier that I wrote a book when I was 12, and it was hardbound. I had done all the pictures. I painted all the illustrations using um, Van Gogh art. So it's like it was Van Gogh inspired. And I was flipping through this book when I went to my mom's house. It was sitting on the shelf. It's called The Midnight Show. And I was amazed at, first of all, the art, and then first of all, how it rhymed, and then third of all, how inspiring it was. And I was shocked that this 12-year-old version of me that was able to do this, that it's this book about this sky that lights up and how all of nature turns to watch it, to watch the sky just light up. And to me, it was akin to how when you start to shine your innate gifts and talents, the world will take notice. And so I realized that I wasn't shining all of my innate gifts and talents. I had these skill sets of this artistic self, this ability to create that I wasn't tapping into.
Hold
And
up, hold up, hold up, hold up, hold up. I don't know if you noticed, but we all just left and came back. um, we had a huge technical difficulty. Hey, listen, I don't know how to explain it, but sometimes when we are communicating and doing stuff like this over the internet, things happen that are out of your control. So I want to definitely observe what just happened, which is that we all just left the building and came back.
oh, didn't
Looks like
notice.
you looks like you were either covering for me or you didn't realize that we were gone, but we were totally gone. So let's back this up a minute or two to the
Okay.
part where you were talking about the need to understand medicine because you saw how it was impacting your family and you wanted to bring that knowledge to everybody so that we can realize how to help ourselves through medicine. So that's where we
Yes.
were, and that's where I'd like for you to pick up at.
Okay. Yeah, so I went into pharmacy because I felt that there was a need that I needed to meet. I needed to
Mhm.
understand how medications work. I needed to really decipher this code, this pharmaceutical code
Right,
that everyone's taking meds, but what are these medications?
right.
Why? How
You
do you
know
take
what?
them?
You know what? Hold on. That right there, I want to expound on. I want you to talk to us about the code. I want you to teach us what you can about what we're putting in our bodies. Are some things better than others? Is there anything that we definitely need to stay away from? Go ahead
Mm.
and educate us a little bit.
Okay. So first of all, I do want to say that you know, definitely make sure you listen to your doctor.
Yep.
This is just, some recommendations. But what I've noticed is that a lot of disease states can be cured or mitigated using lifestyle changes.
Okay.
So, oftentimes medications they work really well to mask the symptoms, to help treat the symptoms, but they but not necessarily cure the disease state.
Mhm.
So, there's amazing medications out there that are really helpful, that they do a really good job of treating those disease states, but it's always about making sure that the pros are bigger than the cons. So the cons are the side effects, the pros are what it's supposed to help you do, what it's
Mhm.
supposed to help you accomplish. But it's really important to make sure that you're trying these lifestyle changes, that you're
Right.
implementing your the diet changes, that you're implementing the exercise, because that can do so much more for you than to take a pill. Even
Okay.
though a pill is easier, there's side effects associated with pills.
Okay.
So it's it's more beneficial for you to get up, to exercise, to change your diet, to really dive into what you can do in your lifestyle
Mhm.
to help with your disease state.
Okay.
And
Now,
so
why is that? And the reason why I ask why is that is because when we look at advertisements, pamphlets, and media about medicine, it seems like the medicine gets into your body and solves the problem.
mm,
But what I hear you saying is that lifestyle change has a bigger impact on the problem than the actual pill.
most definitely.
Okay.
Lifestyle changes can have a substantial impact on your life.
Hmm. Right.
um, and the reason why that is because it gets your body moving. It what you put into your body has a big effect on your body.
Hmm.
So when you're putting in medications, they might be beneficial, but there's also some other changes that might occur in your body in addition to the beneficial effect,
Okay.
if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes sense.
But when you're putting in healthy vegetables and fruits and eating an overall balanced diet, there's no con to that.
Right.
There's no
Right.
side effect to that.
Hmm.
When you're exercising regularly, you're getting those the positive endorphins, and you're getting those. It's a beneficial effect on your body
Right.
overall, and
Right. Right.
there's no harm in that. There's no side effect to that. I mean, you might feel sore, and you don't definitely want to don't want to overdo it, but there isn't going to be a detrimental side effect because you're not putting in a toxin into your body.
Right.
And I'm not saying that medications are all negative. There's some amazing medications out there that can be very beneficial depending on your disease state. But if there's something that you're trying to, if it's, I would just say, make sure that you implement these lifestyle changes,
Hmm.
and you'll be surprised at what you'll find.
Sure. Sure. Also, we can look at it like this. Your lifestyle is like a circuit that goes around and around and around.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of the times our daily routines can be looked at as a circle from the time that you wake up to the time you go to sleep. So let's just say that this starts off from the time that you're born. From the time that you're born, you have this circle that's happening. It's called your lifestyle and it's called your life cycle. Well, as you get older, that circle gets stronger and wider and stronger and wider and stronger and wider. And that's what we consider to be a lifestyle. So now, if you can just imagine an onion, right? Or like I don't want to be too technical by saying a Fibonacci circle, but pretty much you have this circle that's running rampant because now you're 20, 30,
Mm.
40, or 50. It's a, your lifestyle is huge.
Yeah,
And
so big.
and what is perpetuating that cycle is your daily habits. What's perpetuating that cycle is the endorphins that are released in your body through your daily habits. Now, when you take one pill, that one pill, it might impact the outer layer of that circle at best. But in order to start from the origin and span out the reaches of your life cycle, your life circle, you've got to change your daily habits. And
Yep.
so that's that piece. Are
Mm-hmm.
there also some other herbs and supplements that exist in nature that we could be knowing about that we might not know about that you'd like to talk about today?
Oh, definitely. There's so many different things that you can use. So for me personally, if I'm a avid beach volleyball player,
Okay.
and so sometimes I have certain aches, and so I personally enjoy the use of anti-inflammatories. But
Okay.
I'm not talking about the typical non-steroidal anti-inflammatory like ibuprofen or Motrin. Um, I tend to actually stray away from medication personally,
Okay.
and so I like to do frankincense. It's a natural anti-inflammatory. That's an oil. So
Okay.
you might be reminded of the Bible when I say the word frankincense, but it's actually an actual essential oil. It's the
Okay.
king of essential oils, in fact.
How
It
do
has
you
so
use it?
many. So you want to dilute it first, and so I would like to dilute it in arnica gel.
How do you spell that?
Arnica,
Okay.
Arnica. It's a homeopathic gel, and so it helps. It's also anti-inflammatory itself, and so I dilute it in arnica gel and I rub it on whatever spot that I have an ache or pain in,
Okay.
and it's surprising. The first time I used it, I was having some knee pain, and I did that. I rubbed put frankincense, a couple drops in frankincense and arnica gel, and rubbed it on my knees, and I felt like I had a whole like all new knees. I was like, this is it's this. I was like, I'm healed.
Right. Right.
And so it's things like this that I use personally on the daily, or if I have any aches and pains, but I use regularly in lieu of medications.
Okay. So we talked about frankincense, as we know, was mentioned in the Bible, and we can't talk about frankincense without talking about myrrh. Are you familiar with that as well?
I personally don't use myrrh. Have you tried myrrh before?
I've not tried it. I've used it as a an ingredient in fragrance, though. It's pretty good.
Ooh, okay. I
Hmm.
might have to try that one.
Hmm. So, but are there any other things? I know a lot of people are into sea moss right now. Some people understand the benefits of moringa, taking a variety of greens, chlorella, kelp,
Yes. Yes, Corella's
kelp.
spirulina is actually, I believe, it's one of the grains from down underneath the water, and so it's an algae, so it has some potent abilities to really help with, I believe, I'm not sure if it's inflammation, um,
Respiratory.
respiratory. Okay,
Mhm.
yes. So I actually do that in my smoothies. So this morning I put spirulina in my smoothies, and it's you want to only do a little bit because if
Okay.
not, then it takes over the entire the flavor of
Right.
whatever you're
Right. The
putting
taste.
in.
Yeah.
So I do that. What else? I've really gotten into chava, chava and lion's mane mushroom.
Okay.
Have you tried that before?
Yeah, I've tried that, and I just wonder what's the best form to take those supplements in, because if you buy a tincture, then that's obviously different from just taking a mushroom and eating it, but that's also different from the powder.
Yeah.
So,
So whenever you do something, you want to make sure that it's the least processed.
okay.
So, and that goes for everything. The least processed it is, the better it is for you,
Mhm.
because of each step of the processing reduces the effect, the efficacy of the final product.
Okay.
And so I personally do the powder form of lion's mane and shava mushroom, and those are good for building for neurogenesis, building more nerves, and helping with memory and things like that. So that's what I do regularly. What else? Green tea is also very good in lieu of coffee. If you need a little bit of caffeine
Mhm.
in your to get your day started, green tea is actually more has more benefits, and it does provide you that caffeine without having to go to the coffee.
Okay.
And turmeric, that's the last thing I wanted to mention. Turmeric is another great anti-inflammatory. Um, it it just it's great too. So the frankincense and the arnica gel are good for local anti-inflammatory properties. But the turmeric, since you're eating it, so if you put it in like a smoothie,
Mhm.
or yeah, a smoothie would probably be the best. That's what I do. So you're ingesting it, so it has provides anti-inflammatory properties throughout your body,
Okay.
and so I enjoy the turmeric as well.
Okay. Now, what I hear you saying is that you have a big appreciation for anti-inflammatories, which makes me think that at one point or another, we're all going to deal with some form of inflammation in our lives, and we need to be mindful of that. That's what I'm getting from what you're saying.
Yeah, so inflammation is very common, especially so actually a vegan, so I don't eat meat. And one of the reasons why I don't eat meat is because meat is actually a very common, it causes inflammation throughout your body. And so I avoid meat, and I eat mostly greens and a plant based diet.
Okay.
And it's because I'm trying to mitigate the amount of inflammation in my body. And for for people out there who do eat meat, it's important to be able to cancel out or mitigate that inflammation. And
Okay.
so by doing certain things like turmeric, on a regular basis, it helps to really reduce that inside inflammation.
Okay, great. All right. Now, what are you doing these days? Are you still into pharmacy? Are you doing other entrepreneurial endeavors on the side? Talk about it.
Okay, so right now I actually am an empowerment guru. So I started my
Nice.
business about actually last year. And so I'm a transformational rhythmic speaker. If, for
Hold
those of
up,
you,
hold up, hold up. Say that again. A what? You're a
I'm a transformational rhythmic speaker. So
explain what it means.
it's a spoken word artist.
Ooh,
So I use the power of spoken word to transform your mindset.
nice.
And so the way I got into this is, again, going back to that book I wrote when I was 12. It rhymed and it was super inspiring. And looking back at being able to do that, 12-year-old me, I was inspired myself. I was reminded of this creative side of myself that I forgot. And so I started writing and performing poetry. And so I started doing a lot of open mics, and I realized that there was so much talent and so much that you can express when you vocalize, and it was just so empowering. And so the more I started writing, the more I started performing, I realized how freeing it is to share your story, to share your truth, to express yourself. And so I would tie in my story to the lessons that I learned. And so that kind of segued me into becoming a spoken word artist. And so I came up with the name Transformational Rhythmic Speaker because I'm using the power of spoken word to transform your mind. And so now I speak not at open mics anymore. I do a lot of speaking engagements for corporate companies, and for schools, and for certain events around the community. And so they hire me on to help transform the mindset of their audience, to help transform the mindset of their employees, to give them more inspiration to keep going, to really make more of an impact. And so I do that as a transformation rhythmic speaker. And then as an empowerment guru, I help you clearly define your purpose and confidently advance towards that purpose. So it's basically a coaching process where I take you through I show you what your innate gifts and talents are, and I help you define your purpose. I remind you of what you were, what you did as a child, what you were good at, what your dreams were, and then now let's get you back on that road, because I find that a lot of people are stuck in life. They're not fulfilled. They feel like they're not reaching their goals. They're not working towards their dreams. They're not getting it going. And so I help get you unstuck and back on your what I call life road, because oftentimes we forget about that road. We stray off of it. And so it's time to sometimes you need a little help, some guidance to bring you
Absolutely.
back onto your life road. So that's
Absolutely.
what I do with my clients. I help them really tap into their innate gifts and talents and what I call gold, what it is that makes you gold, what it is that makes you a genuine, original, loving dreamer. What are these golden attributes that make who you are, that make you your authentic self? And start sharing that with others, and start thinking about what you can do to best share your authentic self with others, so that you can live a life of true purpose.
Okay. Now, when you come to America's Next Motivator and you let us know that you have an art form that you use to change the world, we'd like to ask you to use it. So I'm going to give you 20 seconds to do a piece with us, and then we're going to go ahead and cross home base. So go ahead. The floor is yours.
Just 20 seconds?
Yes.
Okay. In high school, I developed a mirror face, an expression my face would automatically fold into each time I encountered my reflection. I draw my mouth into a thin line in a subconscious attempt to hide the voluptuousness of my full lips. My friends would tease me, placing real and more often pretend mirrors in front of my face to see it contort, and each time that girl in the mirror would comply, presenting herself with my features modified.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Where can you be contacted? How can you be contacted?
Yeah, so you can contact me if you have Instagram at docpeace, at DOC period peace, Peace.
Okay.
And you can also connect with me if you really want to learn more and work with me directly on how you can clearly define your purpose and confidently start making those forward moves towards your purpose. I invite you to text GOLD. Text the word GOLD, GOLD, to 619-363-5490. Again, that's GOLD to 619-363-5490.
I want to let you know today, Dr. Peace, that I've listened to you. I've heard your journey. I love the way you caught on to the matrilineal message that your great grandmother provided to you. And now here you are providing a matrilineal message to the rest of the world in a rhythmic way. We learn through rhythm. I want to give you your respect while you're here on our stage. Ladies and gentlemen, get your crown emojis ready because I want to give you your crown today while you're still living. And I want to let you know, Dr. Peace, that through your discernment, you have become, without a doubt, America's next motivator.
Woo! Thank you.
Hey, thanks for stopping by today, all right? Everybody put your crown emojis in the building. Dr. Peace brought us a great conversation and a great show. We thank you for that. Thanks for stopping by.
Thank you, everyone. Keep shining.
All right. Ladies and gentlemen, there you have it on a Monday. Each and every episode of America's Next Motivator is going to have something here for you. All you've got to do, just like you did today, is stop by and pick it up.